Hey guys, welcome to Watch Out, and we're here. Have you guys had enough of March Madness yet? Because technically it's not April yet, this is March 30th, so we can still do March Madness.
Wait, hold on. You should roll up your sleeves for this one. Let's roll them up.
Yeah, let's roll them up.
Welcome to your professors of Bracketology.
Right. Bracketology, the 2019 Bracket Madness of Divers Watches.
By the way,
I am here with my co-host Jared.
what's the most prevalent watch in the world? What type of watch?
A diver's watch, believe it or not.
Almost every brand has one.
Absolutely. And
some are better than others.
yes, and we have actually broken this down into criteria. And the criteria is as stated as I would have shown you in the slideshow before you got to us. Okay, so this bracketology is going to be broken down into 5 criteria for how this sucker works.
I love it.
It is brand reputation, features and functions, affordability, looks aesthetic-wise, and the resale and value. So, each one of these categories is going to be broken down like this, from 1 to 10. Each watch is going to go against each other. We have them numbered over here. We are already in the Sweet 16. So we have the 16 top watches on the market right now for divers watch.
Just trying to get some visuals up for you guys so you guys can see.
And they are going to be, so again, usually like in March Madness, you have 1 against 8, 4 against 5, 3 against 6, 2 against 7, and we play on.
I love it.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you through my board on round 1, who gets into the Elite 8, and then Jared will bring you through his, and we'll flip over to the Final 4, and so on and so on. So, once we add up all the scores, that's the watch that moves on. So, first up, here we go, in the Sweet 16, from my board.
All right.
We have the Rolex Submariner against the Invicta Pro Diver. Very interesting matchup, because Invicta mimics everything that Rolex does.
Well,
in their design features.
Let's be real. I just want to throw one thing out there. I'm going to let him talk that because I know it's his round. Everyone copies what Rolex does.
That is true too. But Invicta, more than anybody, their Pro Diver is almost the exact version of the Rolex Submariner. Okay? But when you put these two watches against each other, head to head, and you add up the criteria, okay, who I have moving on to the next round, okay, because what really determines this, of course, we're going to go with Rolex. And you say, by what score? This is actually closer than it may seem. This one actually, 39 to 35. And you'd say, whoa, I thought this was going to be a blowout. Invicta sucks compared to Rolex. Well, hold on. Because the advantage that Invicta has over Rolex is affordability, which is the third category. It actually destroys Rolex in affordability because only about 10 to 20% of the population can afford a Rolex, either new or used. 98% of the population can afford an Invicta. So affordability, it really tightens it up. But when you add the resale value in, okay, and then the looks are going to be the same, the features and functions are going to be the same because they mimic Rolex. Okay, and the brand reputation, that's what throws it over the top. So Rolex moves on over Invicta because of its brand reputation, and of course the resale value is not even close. Okay, next one we have over here is the Tudor Pelagos against the Tag Aqua Racer.
Kind of a close-ish matchup. We have 4 against a 5. So now, tell me.
Well, the one that's going to actually move on to the next round on these ones, head-to-head, is going to be the Tudor. Okay, and you would say, why in Tudor? And the score is actually going to be 36 to 34. It moves on, just as Jared predicted. It is actually pretty close.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of Tag to begin with. However, the Aqua Racer does have pretty good reviews. What does put the Tudor over the edge over the Tag, again, is the resale and its brand reputation. Tudor actually does have a very good brand reputation because it was a part of Rolex at one time. So if you do add in those features, you are going to squeak through onto the next round to go face Rolex. Okay, so now we have on further down in the bracket, let's take a look at this. Ball World Timer Diver against the Doxa Sub 600T. This is an interesting matchup because there's two very different animals.
Absolutely. Now, most people may not be familiar with either one of these, if not maybe one of them.
That's correct. And what we're going to actually, What's really interesting with Ball is the only one here in this entire bracket that uses tritium tubes. Okay, so they have a different type of advantage.
And actually, you know what? I'll go into my stuff when it's now.
So,
Yeah.
and in fact, it's a world timer. Okay, so what they basically did is they took their original world timer and they made it into a diver's watch, which is really cool and really unique. No matter where in the world, you can really pretty much tell all the 24 time zones in the world at the same time, even when you're diving, which you may not need. However, it's there if you do need it. The Doxa is a very interesting, it's a brand that, an insider brand, and not a lot of people know about it. Kind of similar to Oris.
It's more popular than you think, but
Europe,
it's
more popular than it is here. And when you actually add these together, this is actually a blowout. And Ball's going to move on here.
Okay.
Okay, 41 to 32.
Interesting.
There's not enough features in the Doxa 600T, nor is the resale value. It doesn't catch up enough, even with the Ball. Ball has a decent resale value, but the reputation of Ball is actually better than Doxa. Nobody really knows about Doxa. That's where it actually hurts, because a lot of people actually know Ball more than they do Doxa, head to head. So that one will move on there fairly easily. Okay, going down towards the bracket again.
Interesting.
2 versus 7. Seiko Prospects against the Breitling Super Ocean. That's actually pretty
Good
interesting.
matchup.
Yeah, and again, pretty close. Okay, we do have.
Close for you.
Yeah, Breitling moving on. They are actually squeaking by against the Seiko. Okay, and by a score of 40 to 37. Okay, Seiko actually performs very well here. Seiko's had a good diver's watch. They make very good diver's watches. However, and they're very affordable. However, the reputation is nowhere near Breitling. Okay, and the features and functions of the Super Ocean, this is a day date compared to only a date that the Prospect does offer. So when you throw a day date into it, which is actually pretty rare for a diver's watch to begin with, because only I think about 10 or 20% only have a day date. So that actually
Breitling Super Ocean has a day date.
Day date, yes, they have a Super Ocean day date.
Okay.
So they do move on over Seiko.
out.
Let's take a look at the other half of our bracket.
Please.
Okay.
Here, let's switch sides. Sure.
Absolutely.
Make it
We
a
have
little
the IWC Aqua Timer against the Citizen ProMaster. Interesting matchup over here as well. Very close call. A lot of people might think 1 versus an 8 seed is going to kill him. Okay, that's lovely. That's Reese's getting her opinion in. Okay, so what we actually have here is IWC moving on.
Now, I have a question for you in terms of all your,
37 to 36.
you know, the score so far, or whatever it is. Actually, after you're done with your round, I do want to ask you, out of all these, the you know, of course, you know, for your Elite 8, which one, in terms of looks-wise, captures your attention the most? I actually want you to start it for the Elite 8.
Sure. I'll do that right after this.
Yes, please.
IWC moves on against the Citizen ProMaster. Okay, the Citizen actually, again, makes a very nice watch. Very similar to Seiko. But when you throw it against IWC in terms of resale and reputation, it falls flat. So, I mean, Citizen, again, well known, but IWC has the sterling reputation among them. They both have they're pretty much equal in features. Affordability, of course, Citizen's going to have the edge. That's what kept them in it to the end. That's why this was a 1-point score.
Why is this only 1 point?
No, the looks actually of both of these are very nice. IWC does edge it out. But like I said, the resale and reputation carry it over the edge. IWC
Why is it's not more of a, you know, 1 versus 8? You would think that the IWC would carry around a 40-45 score margin on that one.
Not against, remember, it's just head-to-head against the Citizen.
It's interesting.
So when you throw it against, it's not going to because nobody can afford it.
We have a super fan in the room.
Yeah, when you put it against the Citizen, nobody can afford it. So again, that's going to keep the score level there, especially against an 8C. So now you have the Omega Seamaster against the Oris Regulator. 2 very good watches. Both tell time differently. So, as we all know, the Regulators tell time on 3 hands, whereas the Citizen Seamaster, the Omega Seamaster tells it on the traditional 1 hand.
By the way, folks, we're going to pause this video right now if you don't mind. Drew, can you pause this?
Okay.
Please.
No, I can't. It won't let me. I have to stop it in the starter. So no. Well, what did you want to say?
What are your watches?
They're upstairs. Don't need them yet. But
Oh,
we'll get to that.
Yet. Oh, he's got surprises for me, and I have surprises for him.
So,
Amazing.
okay. Omega
Alright.
Seamaster against the Oris Regulator. Let's get to this real quickly.
All right, go ahead.
Again, tight score. This was actually a 1-point score as well. Omega, of course, sterling reputation. Oris, very good reputation when it comes to divers' watches. Omega is not as affordable as Oris is. Oris does show the slight edge on that because Oris is about $1,000 or $2 cheaper. Features and functions, same. Looks, they're both beautiful.
We got a little bit of a problem here, by the way.
What's that?
You notice something?
No. Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
We were about to, and you would have been like, wait, what?
We actually have a...
So, what's the... Yeah, I just wanted to
Thank
make
you
sure
for
because
getting
I
that
said
before I
I'm
got
like, wait a minute.
Thank you for getting that.
You're
for us.
very welcome. I just didn't want to throw you off guard by the time, you got it. Because I'm on pace with you right now with my stuff, so I want to make sure that everything is good there.
Appreciate that.
That's my pleasure.
Okay, so Omega against Oris. Actually, Oris is going to move on here. It's cheaper. Okay, and it tells time a unique way for a diver's watch, which makes it very unique. So it is going to move on by a score of 39 to 38. Omega Seamaster, great watch. You're always going to get the value and you get reputation. Both have sterling reputations. But bad matchup for Omega here because Oris is cheaper. So now you have the Sin U1 against a watch that I had never even heard of up until Jared brought it to my attention, which is the Manta Ocean King.
And just as a little bit of a precursor, it's the Manta Ocean King version 2. That's actually very important for my bracket. And by the way, just going into these things, I'm going to be very detailed with my details on things. So
Okay. So, what we have here is the Sin U1 against the Manta Ocean King. Okay, as I looked into these two watches. Sin, again, the same problem Sin has, the same problem Doxa has. Nobody knows it. So the reputation, but going against the Manta, which nobody knows, they kind of square each other off. Okay, so that's an interesting matchup because neither of them really, not a lot of people, the common person wouldn't know. Wouldn't you say that's fair?
between both of those watches, I would say more people know Sin.
If that, I mean, it's
That's what I would
very
say.
close. So again, reputation, you can't go there because they cancel each other out. Features and functions, that goes to the Manta. Okay, they have a lot of features and functions, including a lot of loom. They have an excessive amount of loom on their divers' watches, whereas Sin does not. Sin is missing a lot of things that you would want in a diver's watch. Affordability, Manta does have the edge over Sin again, and in resale value, they're probably about equal. But Manta is moving on 31 to 29 against Sin.
Kind of close races here.
It actually is. And now for our last matchup, which thank you, Jared, for pointing out the mistake on this one.
It's my pleasure.
Is the Panerai Luminar's 2 seed against the Zodiac Seawolf as the 7 seed. So, this one, 1 point race as well. You would think, oh, this is going to be a blowout. Nope. Okay, Panerai is not affordable. Okay, it's a good watch. It's not affordable. Doesn't have a ton of features that a normal dive watch would have. And the resale value on Panerais are okay. They do hold a pretty good resale value. And it does have a nice look to it, but its reputation is sterling, especially over Zodiac, which not a lot of people know about, even though they do make a pretty good watch, especially the Seawolf, which is a pretty good watch. So Panerai is moving on to the second round.
Okay.
Okay?
Interesting.
36 to 35. Now, we're going to go to Jared for his Elite 8. As we'll flip the board over. And Jared,
Okay.
you're going to be thrilled to know that Panerai is already on here. The mistake was just on my side of the bracket.
Yeah, that I know.
Yeah.
That I know.
Over to you.
Interesting. All right. Well, guys, let's jump over here a little bit. All right. So I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail. Show you guys some images as well. Right. Number 1 versus the number 8. You know, as you were saying, let me just tell you guys this, okay? There's no watch in the world that competes with a Rolex, except for one. We're gonna get to that later. It actually beats it, but we're going to get to that later. An Invicta Pro Diver. You know, what I do like about the Invicta Pro Diver, okay? Rolex Submariners, okay? They come with 2 color faces, blacks and blues. They don't come, you know, yes, you can get the Hulk and things like that, which is the green, get the Kermit with the green bezel, black dial, and things like that. Rolex is a little fucking boring, excuse my language, when it comes to design and things like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, of course, they have their own proprietary movements. They put a lot of money into R&D, which is why they're so expensive. And they're the most desirable watches in the world, whether people have them or not, right?
Correct.
You know, Invicta Pro Diver, I'm going to tell you something. They're really not bad in terms of accuracy. You get what you get. It's going to be a Japanese movement. It's not going to be an in-house, kind of like what Orient does or anything else like that. At the end of the day, for me, you know, it's a nice blue on the Invicta Pro Diver. Everyone knows that. They're going to be both the same size as 40 millimeters. Believe it or not, you can be surprised. They do both have the, for me, you know, I really need to see crown guards on a dive watch as well as a dive bezel. The dive bezel is used to track the amount of time that you set your air tank when you start doing that and then you go into the water, and the amount of elapsed time between you setting the tank, going into the water, and then getting back up to the surface to make sure that you have enough time before your tank runs out. That's the definition to me of a dive watch at the end of the day. If it doesn't have those things, guys, at the end of the day, where we're going with this one is Rolex. We have to, we gotta bring it through. It just is what it is.
What's the score?
That's it. Well, it comes through. Let's just say
Blowout,
that.
close one. What do we got?
Blowout.
Let's go with blowout.
Blowout. So, next matchup before against the 5, Tudor Pelagos against a Tag Aqua Racer. Been doing a lot of research lately on the Tag Aqua Racer. Happen to like it a lot. You know, again, part of the problem with these watches, you know, I'm a big design guy and function, okay? One of the things Tudor does very nice, which kind of gives it the edge over the Tag Aqua Racer, Tag is known for being a little bit of a bigger, bulkier kind of watch, which is okay. I'm not crazy about it. But going to be both about the same size, around the 41, 42 millimeter, you know, which I get, it's fine. But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm giving Tudor the edge here, it's the blue. I mean, the blue just kind of brings it through. It's kind of close, but really at the end of the day, again, Tag is too bulky. In terms of value, you know, Tudor really brings it home. I like the style and the design. It has a little bit more history to it. Tag Heuer has really improved their watches a lot lately. But in terms of popularity now of today's, I mean, the Tudor Black 858 is just, you know, really exploding off the charts. They do a lot of work with, you know, steel and gold. They experiment with different materials. However, with Tudor, it's not real gold. I don't know if you knew that. So yeah, so just to let you guys know that. Anyways, let's bring it down to the next one, right? Between the Bull World Timer Diver and the Doxa Sub 600T. This one is a total blowout for me. I'm not going to go too much into it here. The Doxa Sub. Why, you ask? Right? Guys, at the end of the day, Bull World Timer is actually not a dive watch in my category.
Why isn't it a dive watch?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, I'd love to hear
A
this.
dive watch, like I mentioned previously, needs to have two things. It needs to have the bezel on it, okay? It should also have, you know, crown guards as well. It's kind of important, whatever it is. The Bull World Timer is now, yes, water resistant. There's a lot of watches out there that have 100, 200, 300 plus meters water resistance. Are they dive watches? You could use them to dive, but a professional diver, someone who is going on a more serious dive expedition, is not going to use it because they don't have the dive bezel. They can't keep track of when they set the air in their tank, when they set out on their dive, what the elapsed time has been, about how much time they have left to get back to the surface, so that way they don't run out of oxygen in their tank. The Ball World Time Diver, it's a nice watch. I do also like the orange face on the Doxa Sub 600T. The Ball World Time Diver, it's also the other reason why a true diver would never use it. It's too busy of a dial, and then the oxygen tank won't run out. You'd die on a bolt, okay? If you're traveling the world, you'd be fine with it, but not for diving. So this is a blowout in 5 halves. Blowout, it's not even close. For the next one, here's my problem with Seiko, guys, to be honest with you, okay? I think a good proper diver watch should be 40 millimeters. You know, between the Rolex and Invicta, it's the same thing. Seiko and like Citizen, what they're known for, we're going to get to this in a minute, are known for gigantically huge watches. At minimum, they're about 42, right? You know, Invicta, literally, Invicta is 40 millimeters. It's the same size as
they're known for large watches.
They're known for large watches. Now, what I do like about Seiko is they do have a lot of different kind of watches. They have like a Seiko Turtle. They have one they just released with a nice blue dial. The problem is a lot of their watches are on like the 43, 44, even 45 millimeter. They do have the bezels. They do have the crown protectors, which is great. You know, of course, the other thing that dive watches need to have, very important for a screw down crown. If you don't have a screw down crown, don't suggest taking your watch diving. It's just not going to be smart. When you go below the surface, the further that you're going to go, it's going to create a little bit more pressure. Something can happen to your watch. A lot of times people bang it on reef and corals. You know, experienced divers will always say this. They actually mostly don't see people taking almost any of these watches, maybe a Rolex, diving with them. I know, surprising kind of, right? Because they say, oh, it gets beat up. And at the end of the day, that's what a dive watch should have done to it. Get the fuck beat up, okay? Because you're diving with it. At the end of the day, Breitling they had a great Super Ocean Heritage. It was a 40 millimeter. It was gorgeous. Unfortunately, they discontinued the model. They have a 42. Not crazy about the size, but the Breitling, and this is by actually, here's what we're going to say for this one.
Squeaker?
Landslide.
Oh, landslide.
Landslide on this one. The Breitling is just really a great watch. It has that really great heritage. Shit resale value. Shit.
I agree. I disagree with that. Breitling does not have a shit resale value.
Yeah.
They do not. They're no worse than most than Omega or anybody else. They're around, from 1 to 10, they're ranked around a 7. So I have to disagree with them there. They do not. I've had a lot of Breitlings and I've sold a lot of Breitlings. And they do hold a decent amount of value, like any other watch in the marketplace. Keep going.
All right.
We got IWC against Citizen.
So again, this is going to be the same argument that I'm going to make against the 2 and the 7.
Yep.
IWC, they have a beautiful watch. It's a blue dial. Like, I'm a sucker for blue. I think that
agree with them.
between blue and green, they're the most in colors right now for dive watches. Really adding a lot of value. Just change like 90% of dive watches in the world are black. Why? You know, you have yellow, you have orange, you have blue, you have green. Why not use your options? I have a feeling that if a lot of the watch manufacturers out there did it, they'd be selling more watches. One of the watches that came out recently, and I'm going to be making one change to this, to the Omega Oris battle in just a second. That's going to be my only change, and I'm sorry I have to do it. But for this one, it's going to be an IWC. Not going to be good on resale value. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's a little bit of a large watch, you know. This one's actually probably right now the closest. For this one, what I would personally say honestly is that I would give it that 39-38. That's what I would say. That's the closest one. The only reason why IWC is going to edge out the
Mine was 37, 36. Very close.
Yeah, I just have to give it a little bit more. The only reason why it's going to be a little bit more for the IWC, I'm a sucker for the blue. Okay. Yeah, you know, they don't really have, you know, the steel band on it. I get it. That sucks. You could always put a steel band on it, but you know, at the end of the day, the blue gives it that 39-38. So I have to do that there. Now, guys. Drew, I have a question for you. What is Oris's most popular watch?
Right now it's the Oculus.
It has been the staple of their line for the last, I'm going to say, 10 years. Maybe you didn't know about it, but it's been their staple for the last 10 years. Now, what they just did this year at Baselworld was they released two very special watches, the Oris Aquas GMT, very cool.
Yes.
And they also released the Clean Ocean Oris Aquas. Now, Omega has all the history in the world, yes. However, Oris, the reason why this gets edged out, and for this one, I'm going to give it by probably 2 points. Again, it's the next closest. With the reason why Oris here is going to get a little bit more also, Oris is actually still an independent brand. Omega, as you guys know, part of Swatch Group. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I do like this. We're going to be edging this out a little bit, but the Oris Aquas, at the end of the day, takes it. Again, it's not exactly the closest with this one personally. We're going to do a 41-36 on this one, honestly, because the reason why is because I like Oris's color, but also it's huge to be an independent brand in today's game. So I really have to slide that one over.
Fair point.
Let's see here, Monte Ocean King.
You thought about that a long time.
Let's do not even fucking close.
Well, there goes our PGs in the episode.
Yeah, not even fucking close. I'm not going. We'll talk later. Okay, we'll talk later. All right. So now, when we go to the number 2 versus 7, this is a very, very, very good battle here. Everyone knows Panerai. I know a lot of people do know that. It's not one of those brands where you're like, I don't know. Zodiac, they became hot in the last 2 years. They did.
They were big in the 70s and 80s, and then they kind of went away, and then were kind of brought back to life. He's right.
Can I tell you guys what's going on with Panerai right now? Value is going huge. Dinky, I believe it was, just did a great 3-part segment video about how, you know, Panerais are made and the history of them. Actually made for the Italian Navy, believe it or not. They have a very long history. If you purchase one of their newer watches, you actually get a little bit of time with the Italian divers in the Navy a little bit, which is kind of cool and interesting. My only problem with Panerai is that they're very large and very chunky. Zodiac is going to be obviously a little smaller. You're going to have more dial options. The other thing with Panerai that it bothers me a little bit, it's not a complete deal breaker. I know, it's kind of surprising considering what I've said in the past. They have no minute markers. But, you know what?
It's a feature, yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's a valid
absolutely.
point. A valid point.
But the other thing that Panerai has that none of these other brands have, they have a crown protector unlike anyone else. And at the end of the day, I personally think, I'm going to say this is probably the most durable, rugged watch on this entire board. If I actually had to take a guess. It honestly really is. Again, they don't really come in steel bands, which kind of sucks a little bit. I prefer to see the steel band, but at the end of the day, Panerai, I would literally, in terms of durability, it will survive you through World War III, pretty much, literally, even probably beating Rolex at the end of the day. So I gotta go with Panerai here. Okay, and for this one, we're really going to be doing a 43 to 34.
Not even close.
It's not really personally. It's just that at the end of the day, I think Panerai really just edges out Zodiac, and recently they've become more popular, so value is going up a little bit more, and that's the reason why I give them more the edge. And their crown guard, I think, is proprietary to their brand, so a bit edgier.
Yes.
So on to the Elite Eight, huh?
On the Elite Eight. We're now in the Elite Eight, and everybody, and here we go.
We weren't out of room on this phone.
No. Let's hope not. With our wonderful, we're on like the 3rd version of this, so if you guys, we're splicing them together, so if it looks a little bit different every 10 minutes, don't worry. Okay, now,
get into a little bit more meat and potatoes?
Rolex had to get past Invicta to get here, and Tudor had to get past Tag to get here. It's funny how Rolex keeps running into versions of itself. Like I said, they owned Tudor for a period of time, then set them free.
Now, do you know what kind of movements Tudor actually uses?
Enlighten me.
Breitling.
They use Breitling's movements in Tudor? That's very
movements.
interesting. That's a very interesting point.
Isn't it?
And when you put it up against the Rolex movement, you put it up. Remember, these are head-to-head.
It's a proprietary movement. It's a 31, 35, I want to say, I don't think that they updated it.
Right, and when you put them head-to-head, here's where Rolex is going to, this is not even really going to be too close, because Tudor doesn't have the reputation that Rolex does. The only reason that Tudor is even known is because of Rolex, and the fact that they own them for quite some time.
Actually, Tudor used to be a very popular watch for Navy SEAL divers, actually over Rolex, believe it or not, which is kind of interesting.
When you put the Submariner against the Pelagos, it's really not much of a competition here. In terms of looks-wise, it's a much better looking watch. The blue is a lot nicer than the tuner blue. And when you put it, don't even get me started on it.
Wait, you think the Rolex blue is nicer than the Tudor blue?
I do. I happen to like the Rolex blue a lot better than the Tudor blue because it does have a sunburst dial, very similar to Cartier. And I do like blue sunburst dials, and it is moving on.
I can't wait till we actually show you guys some of the watches tonight, and I'm gonna put it in the machine.
Well, we're gonna find out about that. 41 to 36 here.
So it's a little bit of a
It's
runny,
bordering on blowout.
yeah,
Because you're gonna have Tudor. Listen, Tudor gives it a nice try against Rolex. It can't hold up in value. Reputation, it can't hold up. Not many people know about Tudor unless you knew about Rolex. So it's kind of its ugly little stepsister when you put it against Rolex. Rolex is moving on.
Hold on. I'm gonna actually disagree. Every year Baselworld for the last literally 15 years. Do you know the two watches everyone only gives a fuck about, honestly, for the most part? Again, we're getting rid of the PG. These are the only two brands of Basel that people care about. All the other brands
against each other, who do they care about?
Well, of
Thank
course.
you very much. On to the next one. They're not.
I can't wait to see this.
I'm not
one.
putting Tudor against. I'm not putting Tudor against Rolex. I'm putting Tudor against Rolex. Gone.
That's fine.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. You're done. Ball against Breitling. Here's an interesting
I
one.
can't wait to see this one.
Okay, you know I like the world timer. I think that's a really cool feature with ball. I disagree with Jared. It is every bit a diver's watch. It does not have, like he said, it does not have the bezel, typical bezel that you would have for a diver's watch.
Doesn't have crown guards either.
It may. The world timer diver may have the crown guard.
No.
But even so, even without those
I'm just curious
features,
what moves on here.
this is a day date, and
By the
so
way,
is this. This is gonna be
if
very
ball moves on, I'm
interesting.
gonna vomit. Right
Okay,
here. I'm
we are
vomiting.
gonna have this one move from
I'm gonna
41 to
vomit.
39.
I'm gonna vomit. Oh my god, please don't. Please don't.
We have Breitling moving on.
Thank you, God.
you
Okay.
can, you
I
can
can breathe.
exhale now. Okay, Breitling is moving on,
God.
even though Ball is a nice watch. Guys, Breitling does have the better reputation in terms of dive watches. It does have more features, and in terms of actually the resale value of a Breitling is better than a Ball because of the notoriety and the reputation. So it does move on. Close one, but it is moving on. So we've got Breitling against
Let's
Rolex
swap.
in this bracket. Okay, on to the other side. IWC against Oris. Now again, I'm going with the regulator. He's going with the Oculus. That's fine. I'm putting that against the IWC. This is an interesting one, okay, because you do have an IWC.
I may cry. I may cry.
He's going to have to cry because Oris is moving on.
Alright, no, that's fine.
Oris is moving against
that's fine.
IWC, and
That's
the
fine.
reason being,
That's
and this
fine.
is actually a pretty close battle, 39 to 37.
Actually, now the yours regular has the dive bezel, correct?
It does.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure.
And this one is not. Okay.
No, IWC does.
But some of the models I think did, some of the models didn't, depending on the model.
Yes,
they
but the
chose.
one that we're talking
The
about
ones I
does
looked
have
at did not.
It's the internal.
Right.
It's the internal.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
do have some models that do not have the dive bezel. You do have the function and features. Oris has them all. Okay, as Jared said, they're known for divers watches. It's one of the best dive brands out there, and it's much more affordable than IWC. And as Jared said before, he's absolutely right. The value on an IWC is not what you think it is,
No.
even though the brand reputation is very good.
I'm with you on that pick, 100%.
Absolutely.
But honestly, I'd almost make it a bit more of a blowout. But that's just my opinion. That's okay.
Only because the reputation doesn't stay that close. But
Mhm.
when you put them against each other,
IWC's gotten on a lot. You know what it is? Their Pro Pilot watches are really the crazy.
that's not their bread and butter. But of course, moving on.
Interesting.
And the last one. Okay, so here you have Manta against Panerai. Oh, the unknown against the old boy. As we all know, Panerai made their name in World War I. That's what they're known for, but they're known for aviator watches. More so than divers watches. Now, I looked at Manta, I looked at all the features and the functions that Manta has, and when you look strictly at a diver's watch, when we're looking at features and functions, even though the reputation and the value is not going to be what Panerai is going to be, and I think Jared can agree with that,
Absolutely.
when you put these two against each
Absolutely.
other,
Mhm.
you do have, by a score of 35 to 34, this is a squeaker. Okay, you do have Monza moving up.
Wow. Closer than I thought. I'm not surprised though. but
No,
closer
because
than I thought.
the value of a Panerai, as he said, is through
Oh,
the
it's
roof.
going
Second
crazy
to
right
Rolex.
now. Mhm.
So you have to give it
Wow, look
respect.
at this shit.
So
Oh
your
my
final
God.
four I have right now
Oh my
is
God, this is
Rolex,
so good.
Breitling,
This is so
Oris,
good.
Manta.
Oh my God.
Moving on. Over to Jared for his Elite Eight. Let's
Oh,
bring it on up.
Oh God.
So, what do you have coming in here, Jared?
Oh boy. Alright, so guys, at the end of the day, okay? This battle for me comes down to this, okay? Yeah, I personally do like the color on the Tudor better than the Rolex. Now, again, one of the things that's cool about Tudor is that they do make their own in-house movement, but it's only for one watch, it's the North flag, so it doesn't apply to the Pelagos, unfortunately. However, they do their own movements, you know, again, Rolex, Tudor, you know, kind of closely related or whatever it is. And really, at the end of the day, they have both been used in wartime situations. They have both helped. They're really both titans in their own way, and it's just, oh my God, it's just beyond hard. What brings Rolex, honestly, to the next round is, of course, the reputation and value. And with this one, we're doing a 4039. It's just like it's even like,
That's pretty close.
yeah, I mean, honestly, personally for me, it's even like a 39.5 to maybe even a 39. It's even that close.
Wow. Considering Tudor doesn't nearly hold the value of Rolex.
No, it doesn't. I agree with you 100%. I mean, every day of the week, Rolex is gonna jump
The
on the
reason why it
market.
has the King logo.
But at the end of the day,
He has it moving on.
I do like the Tudor. The other thing, the reason why this is just a little higher, Tudor at 41, it's a little bit of an odder size. The Rolex is the 40, it's the nice even. I kind of like it. Although Tudor has the better crown guards, I will say that. All right, so now with this one again, you know, the Doxa against the Breitling, guys, it's not really too close, unfortunately for me. This one's gonna be a little bit of a landslide again. I can't landslide. Yeah, landslide. Can't spell tonight. Here's the reason why, guys. At the end of the day, really, the Breitling actually does not have crown guards. I'm actually gonna be honest with you on that one. It does not. The Doxa sub. Some of them do, some of them don't. It depends on which version you're talking about. With the Doxa sub, they have the recessed crown, which kind of acts as the crown guard against the case. Got the orange bezel, but again, the Breitling for me, it's the history. It is the resale. I mean, obviously, resale is going to be better on a Breitling than a Doxa. But at the end of the day, it's that. God, I gotta write this here because it's a common theme for me. It's the blue. It's the blue that I love. So Breitling is moving on against Rolex, which I think is kind of fitting. Let's go on to the other side. For here. This is not a contest at all. By the way, guys, Oris at a 39.5mm case. Now, you know what Oris just did? Tell me what they just did. Do you know what color they just released in February of this year? Orange. No.
Green.
Welcome to, again, the Hulk, which everyone tries to copy. I get it. This one is a landslide. It just is, and we're going to spell it right that time. So landslide, not even a question. And then I'm going to make my time short with this one. Mine's against the Panerai.
Score?
For this one?
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
I won't say it on camera.
You won't say this on air.
Unless you guys can say it, I'm not gonna say it.
Needless to say, it wasn't
So the
close.
final four, I'm going Rolex against Breitling, and then Oris against Manta for my
We
final
both had the same final four. It's actually pretty funny. How we
which
got
I knew
there.
was gonna happen.
Which
But now, this is where
yeah,
things get a
so
little
fun.
interesting. But I have a feeling I know maybe where we're actually. Wait, can you flip the board over for just a quick second?
God.
Back to yours. I just want to say something.
It is mine.
Wait. This one. Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Right, now I
Sorry. I don't know.
Right, now I'm just gonna have to fucking put it over here.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
We can spackle.
Yeah.
This is gonna be interesting.
Put this over here.
Just maybe
Thanks
about
to Jared for that. Okay.
Let me see if I can find
Yeah,
some.
all right, let's go to my final four as Jared tries to
Oh
find
wait a minute! Don't step back.
No. All right, yeah. Put
Here
that
you go.
underneath. Thank you
There
very
you go.
much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
All right, here we go.
Drew would have went like, oh my god. That would have been it.
Okay, beautiful. Now,
This is. By the way, why is your floor a little wet?
no, wait, Pete.
Oh, that's
Great. Okay, but
Okay.
enjoy. Now,
woo. Ooh,
final four. Oh boy. Okay, so we have the East region going against the Midwest. Well, Rolex against Breitling, two titans. Yeah. This is fun.
You really have more of a diving versus more of the aviator theoretically in Breitling compared to diving. Theoretically.
Jared's right in the fact that
Yeah.
Breitling, their bread and butter, is more of the Navitimer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what they're known
That
for.
was their original watch. It was
Right.
actually the first chronograph watch, I believe.
That is true.
Yeah.
And you have Rolex, which, though they're not known initially for diving, they
True.
have been. This has become
No,
the
no,
most
no.
popular
They
model.
they actually, Rolex. You know how they got their reputation? Actually, I just want to chime in with this. There was someone who was doing a swim in a channel, and one of the challenges was, again, it's kind of like with some of the aviators watches out there, like Omega and like NASA and things like that. Like NASA challenged watchmakers to be like, hey, you make a watch that's as durable as anything that we can go to the moon. Every watch failed except for obviously Omega. That's why it's the most famous.
That's true.
With Rolex, their most famous first watch was their Oyster Perpetual.
Correct.
Their case, it would stand the swim. It was for hours a day, no water leaked in. So Rolex really is. It started off with the water and the
The
diving.
Submariner is actually relative new compared to most of their models.
Yes, their
That's what
Oyster
I'm
Perpetual
getting
and
at.
they
So
just were.
We're
the
just judging the
first
Submariner.
ones. Yeah, that's true.
So if you judge the Submariner against the Breitling, especially the Super Ocean, okay, Rolex, as Jared said, the Super Ocean is 44 or 45 millimeters. It's pretty large. Okay, that's where we start having a problem.
Yeah, I think it's about
Yes.
40. Yeah,
Okay, it's a 44. The
Yeah.
current one is 44 or
Yeah.
45. Rolex
40.
maintains 40. Okay, much better on the
Good
wrist,
spot.
much more comfortable. It does have a much better resale value. It has the better reputation. The features are better on the Breitling. Even though Rolex hits the standard, they actually go better. Breitling has the edge on that, but in terms of looks, Breitling probably has a better look.
Wait, hold on. I will say this with Breitling, and this is where we're getting a little bit more in depth with some of the things to the Final Four. You know, one of the things that Breitling didn't do that Rolex does is that they never did the steel band on it.
That's true too. Oh no, they did. This one, the Super Ocean, does have a steel band. There is one I found that does have, though it's not the prominent in the model.
Right, exactly.
They do
Not the
have one.
common one. Okay.
So they do have it,
Right.
but it's tougher to get. Whereas anybody has the Submariner. Okay, this is
you can do the
most
rubber, you can do
common
the steel.
watch,
People do leather too on
the
Rolex.
most
I mean,
popular
it's great.
common dive watch that's replicated on Earth. So this is close. Believe it, it's closer than most people thought it would be. But Rolex is moving on, as
How
I'm
close
sure that
was
is. Well, I'm going to show you. 42
Yeah.
to 41. That's actually very close.
Really?
For where I give Breitling credit for here.
Ooh, so am I supposed to be kind of similar?
Okay, so that's pretty good. Going to the other side.
Oh, I can't wait for this one.
Manta against Oris.
I
Okay.
can't wait.
Again, this is Cinderella moving its way up the line against one of the big boys in diving.
Now, both 40mm watches, both have great dive bezels. Does the Oris have crown guards on it by any chance or not?
Yes.
It does. Okay, so screw down crowns, obviously. I mean,
It
Oris-
comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, who has the better reputation? Oris. Who has the better resale value? They're about, I don't know, this is on, because they're so new, you really can't tell how well they're going to hold the resale value, because not a lot of them are used out there. So, unknown against decent, okay? When it comes
Oris doesn't hold value as good as you think it does.
It's okay.
It's okay.
it's okay, but I don't know what this is yet. I have to be fair, okay, because I don't know, okay? However,
Now, the other thing is that Manta is, you can't really get on the secondhand market, or you can, although the regulator is kind of a little bit more,
it's more of an older
discontinuous-ish
model.
a little bit.
But
so.
even if you went with Aquas, it's either way, with a regulator or an Aquas, I would hold this true for. Because, and the looks, now it comes down to looks, okay? It comes down to looks and reputation, in my view. I always like the look of a regulator. I think it's just the most unique thing, because that's how time started, guys. The clocks didn't start on one wheel, they started on 3 wheels. In the 1500s, that's how you had time start. People started on these big gigantic clocks with 3 wheels. One for seconds, one for minutes, one for hours. To go back to the history and make it a diver's watch is something that none of these other watches have done, okay, in all of this bracket. So I have to give that credit. I can't ignore that. I just think in looks wise it's so unique, and for it to be COSC certified and do that, I'm sorry, it wins. It goes through onto the next round against Rolex. And this one, it is not even close. This is 42 to 35. Okay, and I'm basing this on reputation, which Oris has all the history, and it has the most unique way to tell time out of all the divers watches. So this one is going to be an actual blowout because of those two things. Not saying anything bad about Monte. When you're the final 4, you have tremendous respect for me, okay? And I haven't even seen a watch yet. I've only seen pictures and read about it and stuff like that. So it's just you can't
wait till
get
the
by
next part of the video.
the reputation, and you can't get by how, again, it's personal. It's what everybody personally thinks. But Oris has a better reputation, and it's better look.
I don't like it, but I respect it.
Okay, he understands why.
I respect
Now, let's go to Jared's final 4 if we don't have to tear this thing down my wall first.
You guys fucking ready for this?
Here we go. Oh, boy.
Bring it on. Oh, bring it. Bring it.
Fire away.
You know, guys, what's interesting about my board is that at the end of the day, there's really only truly one watch on it that hits every category of what a modern dive watch is. We're going to get to that in a minute. But similar to what Drew was talking about before between Rolex and Breitling, I actually have to tell you, I like the design on the Breitling better. On the 40 when they had it, to me, it beat Rolex. But, at the end of the day, what Rolex does, really better than anyone is they make it such a great design. They don't try to reinvent the wheel. All these other brands keep trying to change the size of the case and, other things.
So true.
Why, at the end of the day,
Got something good, sell it.
Rolex just comes through here. This one for me,
What's the score?
it's, God, it's just, I'm giving this a 45-35 here. I'm
Oh, that's not even close.
I'm going to tell you why.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you why. Breitling really fucked up with their watch a little bit because they went from a smaller size to a larger size. That's the number one thing you just don't do in the modern world. You shouldn't, and a lot of brands are doing it. I'm not the biggest fan of the black with the Rolex, but at the end of the day, again, Breitling does their own in-house movements. They supply them to Tudor, like I said before. But again, the Rolex is way more versatile than the Breitling is. History, I give Rolex the edge because it's more of a diving piece than what Breitling is. That's another reason why. The other thing with Rolex, I'm going to tell you guys this. Now I'm going to start getting into more technical things, right? The one thing Rolex has that almost none of these other watches have is they have the glide lock in their clasp.
In the newer ones, yes.
Okay? That's almost unbeatable, okay? There's only one other watch on this, board that has that, and you don't realize how valuable that is. Your wrist will change sizes during the day. Hot gets bigger, colder gets smaller. And that's something where, a lot of brands, sometimes they don't have half links, they have full links. With Breitling, yeah, you can make the adjustments on the band with their rubber bands, which is great, but rubber not quite as comfortable as a steel band, unfortunately. Sometimes it rubs, sometimes it catches. I'm just not, Rolex just, it is a landslide here. It's not even a question to me. you know, again, Rolex has fantastic lume. You know, the magnifier is very useful. You know, Breitling has a big date on it. It just doesn't.
And day. The day and the
For
day.
this one that I'm talking about, it doesn't. You know, for all my watches, guys, we're talking just simply the date. I'm not talking about the day. You know, but also Rolex has a much smoother unidirectional bezel. I've handled both of them. Breitling is good, but again, Rolex is just simple clicking. You know, the 120 click bezel, of course. Both of them have that. For the next one, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna tell you guys about this battle between Oris and Manta. The newest one, the Oris Aquas Clean Ocean that Oris just came out with. 39.5, beautiful blue dial. I mean, it has everything that I would want. It's going to be edged out by a couple points here, actually, by the Manta. I'm gonna put Manta here. We're gonna do 42 to a 40. I'm gonna tell you guys why it's 2 points. Here's what Manta has that Oris doesn't have. Okay, Oris is actually is one of the most difficult watches to size on the market. I'm gonna tell you guys why. Oris.
I'd love to hear this.
I'm gonna tell you exactly.
Oh, please
okay?
do.
Every Oris that I've had, okay. The number one problem with Oris. What's their interhorn width?
What's that? You mean when you're sizing a watch?
Lug width from the from let's say you want to change the band out. What's the interhorn width on the Oris? Do you know?
21?
Yes. Now 21. You're not gonna find a steel band at 21. Good luck.
They come with the steel band, so why would you want a steel band?
It does. Now I'm gonna tell you why we want to change it out. Oris is a brand that does not come with half links. They do not. They're full links. Mark my words on that. I've had
Yes, they are.
4 Orises.
Yeah.
Okay. And at the end of the day, when you have a nice, good dive watch, whatever it is, you want it to fit a certain way. The biggest problem I've always had with Oris is not being able to adjust it quite right. It's something that, again, with the Manta, it has the line lock as Rolex does. You don't realize it's patented where the biggest difference between the Rolex and the Manta is that the Rolex is more of a ratchet and the Manta is a slot. It's fantastic. So Oris 21 interhorn width. Good luck trying to find a lot of bands for that. You can't do that. You know, that's another reason why Manta is being so. That's the reason why Manta has 1 extra point in that. Okay. So the interhorn width and the wing sizing. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a little fucking ridiculous, and I wish Oris would fix that, but they don't. But again, they're sticking with tradition, which I totally get, and I respect that out of them. But they lose on that.
Huh? Well, there's our finals.
Now, the other thing,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Maybe I should save it for the final.
You
actually,
probably would.
yeah, I'm gonna save it for the final. So Rolex against Manta at the end of the day.
Okay, so
Rolex
now
against Oris
against
for you.
Rolex against Oris. We've all gone down a different road. Now, okay, these two.
I know which one he's gonna choose.
This is not really a hard decision, though Oris does make some good points. Okay, Oris number one is more affordable. It's more unique. It's actually a prettier dive watch than Rolex in terms of the look, especially the regulator. I like the regulator's look better than I do dive watch look of the Submariner. As Jared said, it can get a little plain, okay, even though it does have a lot of features to it.
A dive watch, I'm going to defend this. A dive watch, it should be plain. Its function follows form. So at the end of the day,
He's not wrong.
it needs to be plain.
It has to work, okay?
Well, it has to be functional because remember, divers, they're doing something that is dangerous to a degree, and requires a bit of experience. And at the end of the day, if something is to go wrong on a dive,
Yeah,
a
and
little bit of a problem.
well, here's what Rolex all of a sudden. I made the points for us. Okay, it's about as good as you can get in terms of a functional diver's watch, even the Aquas. If you don't talk about
That I would disagree with on the regular.
in terms of no, I'm not even talking about the Aquas. Okay, because that's the newest one. It's about as good as you can get in terms of a functional diver's watch with everything as Jared mentioned before. That
hands down.
absolutely.
Hands down.
Here's where Rolex comes into play. Okay, Rolex, and I get this stat from the Family New York Times, as our wonderful president would say. Do you know the percentage of people that buy dive watches that actually dive?
I would say maybe at a most 5%. At a most.
You're actually low. It's actually 10%. So
I was only off by
10%
5.
of people who buy, think about this fact. Jared mentioned before, dive watch is one of the most popular watches in the world.
It's the most popular.
Okay. And only 10,
Steel.
Yes.
Steel sports diving watches.
10% of people use that for actual diving. So when we're talking about divers watches, and Jared can talk about all the functions and functionality of a diver's watch, 90% of the people don't give a fuck. Okay? All they care about is how does the watch look, and they care about the price, they care about the functions, less, and then they care about the value.
Number one has got to be reputation value.
There you go.
Number one.
But that's where Rolex hits the sweet spot. Now Rolex offers gold, which Rolex does not. Okay, which enhances the value. Rolex offers diamonds,
Not only
which
that,
Rolex does not.
but they offer, it's Rolex Source, so it's their kind of like own proprietary, it's like a gold steel mix, which makes it just even more, no one else does that in the world.
That's correct.
Nobody.
So when you look at, and the blue, as Jared and I are both suckers for blue, compared to the Oris, which would not have that.
With the Rolex, let's say that's right, the blue, it's called the Smurf, okay, which is very cool. So they have the typical black, they have the Smurf, and then they have the Hubble, which are it's diversified a little bit in their portfolio.
Oris is not going to offer the blue that Rolex does.
They don't offer anything.
They're
just
more
black.
Okay.
Just black.
So you're basically going, you're limiting your colors with Oris. So when actually, the winner on my board, obviously, as you can see, based on everything I've just told you, is going to be the king, and there is a reason why. There's a king symbol on Rolex.
What would you say is the number one thing that would bring it through? Number one.
Here's your score, 41-39. That's actually pretty close. And what brings it through over the Oris? Now, number one, remember, Oris is more affordable, much more affordable than Rolex. Okay, Rolex, because they go up in value every year. You can't even afford Rolex. That's the problem.
Right now, the Rolex black one, I'm going to say around 5 to 6.
Let me give you a perfect example. In 2005, when I bought my winner right here, which is the Rolex Submariner, I bought this brand new for $5,500. This was back in 2005. It is now 2019. Would you like to guess how much of this one now costs in 2019?
I'm say 75 to 80.
No, 13.5.
Oh, brand new. I
Brand
think
new.
on
13.5, brand new. So that means in a span of 14 years, my watch went from $5,500 to 13, went up $8,000. No other watch in the world does that. It's not even close. I feel bad for Oris because no other one, or any of the brands, outside of Panerai, which Jared said has had a spike, you can't compete with this. So in terms of, I'm not going with functions here. Functions are going to go down on the list when you get to the finals.
You do need to get it. If you do want to make the money on it, it's better to get it premium. Now, if you get it new, you're going to have to wait that time for it to go up.
That is true. But you do get the...
But it won't go down.
No, it's not going to go down.
It's not going to go down.
So when you, the main function of a Rolex is the value and the look. It's the most requested watch in the world for a reason. Okay, they haven't changed the look, as Jared said, in forever. They don't need to. They keep it simple, stupid. I mean, it's...
However, we're going to flip this board because there's one thing that Monta does at Rolex. It's left in the dark.
Well,
oh, you get it left in the dark? Sorry, I have to.
Very cute. But where my main butter is, before we go to Jared's half of the board, is I am caring about the 90% of the people who care about a diver's watch based on what they look for. That is right, that is look. So, yes, the Monto or the Oris may have better features in terms of than Rolex.
Wow, look at that. That landed perfectly.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm not going to touch it, actually.
Oh, nice. I'll get that. They may have better features. But when it comes down to the other four categories, Rolex wipes the floor. So, that is why Rolex is my winner of the 2019 Bracket Madness. Jared, over to you before this board falls apart.
So guys, at the end of the day, do you know what matters on these boards? Shit. Let's go to live stuff. So, now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of things. This is where we're going to pause the video for a minute, and we're going to get into the real battle here. Alright, we're going to go toe-to-toe. So guys, at the end of the day, this is what the battle comes down to. Now, as Drew has mentioned a lot, and this is why I'm kind of happy this went this way, Drew has never seen the Ocean King, felt it or done whatever, and you know, obviously at this point he can do whatever. But these two, as far as I'm concerned, between the Rolex Submariner and the Manta Ocean King, as not widely known as it is, there's one reason why this whoops this one's ass by just a little bit. Okay? It throws that extra punch and it lands it hard and it just knocks it out. So, Drew, what I'm going to do is, I'm actually not going to do much of the talking right now. I want you to do a head-to-head comparison. You've had that for how many years now? 14, give or take? You've never handled this.
No, I have not.
So, I want to know what you think. Okay? Let's take the gold out of the equation. Let's just take,
that's a little factor. Let's just take the primary aspect of what Rolex does more than anybody
well,
else.
it's not really a factor in the watch personally, maybe value, but
It's value. That's the whole part of one of the categories.
yeah. Compare
Okay.
the two.
We'll compare the two. Well, you know what?
Compare the
Let's
two.
do this for the camera over here so they can see the two. Me comparing it doesn't really do much unless they can see it.
Here, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna hold them.
Yeah,
up.
you can hold them. Okay.
You could zoom in if you want. Do whatever it is you have to do.
Okay.
But
Fair enough.
yeah.
Mine's backwards. Upside down.
Ah.
Let's compare them both correctly. Okay.
Well, it's better actually if you have them in your hand.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so you have the Manta and the Rolex side by side against each other. Okay? Now, as I said before, what the Manta brought to the table that I thought was very interesting. Number one, the weight-wise, they're about equal from just holding them.
I'm actually gonna say this, holding them both. Manta's heavier than Rolex.
Well, from when I was holding it, it was about the same.
Manta is definitely a little bit heavier.
Not surprising if you use heavier steel.
By the way, I
it's
think you have a
heavier.
pin coming out on this one.
Okay, I can screw it back in. That's a good part. So you got it's about equal weight.
Weight
a little
goes
bit,
to
maybe
Manta.
a little bit more because it's steel, and that is heavier than gold. So that would make sense. You also have stick markers on the Manta as opposed to dots on the Rolex. They both have minute markers. Mm-hmm. That is about right. There is no magnifier on the Manta. There is a magnifier on the Rolex, as you can clearly see between the two.
Now let me ask you a question. Which date is easier to see, or are they equal?
Oh no, the Rolex is easier to see because you have the magnifier. Rolex is easier to see. There's no question about that because of the magnifier. So you do have the Rolex, which is easier to see, in my opinion, of those two right there. You do have sword hands basically on both of them. The Manta is bigger in terms of, if we're really not doing a fair comparison because mine is not a 40. I think mine's a 38.
40? 40. They're both 40s.
If you're looking at them, the Manta is bigger. Take a look.
It appears it, but I'm going to tell you this.
I'm going to tell you, I think mine's a 38.
They're actually both 40s, believe it or not.
And mine looks like a 38 as opposed to a 40.
It does, you're right.
So it does, they
That's
both have the
symmetrical
crown
as well.
locks. Like I said, in terms of functions, they're head to head, okay? And the Manta probably has the advantage, especially over mine, because mine's much older. Number one, it doesn't have the slide, as Jared was talking about, to maneuver the size, even though it does have it on the clasp.
So at the end of the day, let's be real here with this then. The date, okay, easier to see on the Rolex. However, this one's on the slide, so kind of,
if you want to cancel that
yeah,
out, okay.
you could cancel that.
So what it comes down to is what, in your opinion, now?
Wow. Something that is beyond cool that most watches don't do? Loom on a particular area.
Okay. Which area are we?
So, here's what I'm going to do, guys. Now, let me ask you this question, just in your personal opinion. Are they both on?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Which color do you like better? You.
Hold on, let me hold them up to the light.
Please.
Based on the blue,
Yeah. Just in color in general.
Rolex.
Really?
Look at the color in the light. I told you it has the same type of dial that Cartier has.
Nope. I
The
disagree.
blue I like on Rolex better.
Okay. That's a personal preference, which is totally okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep these here just side by side for a second, but surprise. Okay.
Both are nice blues. I prefer, and yours does have the sunburst dial as well, from what I can see.
I have to tell you this. The Rolex is definitely a darker blue.
Not in the light. The
Oh, yeah,
light it comes
for
through
sure.
a different way.
Hmm.
It does appear darker in the dark or in regular light, but in sunlight it appears totally different.
I don't know that I'm telling you this that the blue on this is just it's stupid ridiculous. Whenever you want to turn off all the lights and then we'll get a nice.
Keep in mind, my Rolex is 14 years old. It's not going to have the lume that it normally would.
It
So
still does.
it's decent, but not great. Go ahead.
So hopefully, I don't know how great it's gonna show.
There you go. No, it shows.
It shows a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There you go.
look at that bezel.
Oh boy, you're not going to like what you see on camera.
Oh no. On the camera, I
The
can see
Rolex is killing it.
again, it's not well. Yes, correct. I'm not disagreeing with you, but the Manta needs a little bit when it gets hit with sunlight and it's a little stronger light. At the end of the day, you can see this a lot clearer with everything between the bezel and the dial versus something like with this one. You see it very clearly. I think both are just slightly different colors on the lume. Like you have more of a green here and you have
Yes.
more of a blue here, which changes the
That
the
does more of
contrast.
what
a
Oris
little bit.
does. That's more of an Oris.
Yeah,
Their type
absolutely.
of lume. That's correct. Monta has more of the
They're
Oris type.
both as easy to read in the dark as each other. Now, of course, at the end of the day, it really all comes down to personal
Preference.
taste and preference.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really what it definitely comes down to. I mean, again, the reason why I really do say that the Manta edges out the Rolex, of course, is because the lume bezel. I mean, come on, that's like a modern.
He likes the lume bezel, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I
it
have.
is.
I mean, and as I said, whether Rolex goes against Oris or Monta or anybody else,
It's very cool. I would say.
one word, guys, value. You're never going to lose with a Rolex. You're always going to lose with all the other brands. They're always going to go down in value, whereas
Oh.
Rolex just goes up.
I'd probably take a bath on this.
You take
Probably.
a bath on most of those watches,
Mm-hmm.
not Rolex. And at the end of the day, if I ever want to upgrade or swap out or get another watch, not going to be a loser. It's always going to make me money. It's like a stock that never goes down.
Unless you want to get a brand new.
Then you just have to wait longer for your money. But I guarantee you, I could go and make money on this even though I bought it brand new.
You could, absolutely.
So I have to go with value on why Rolex would beat any other watch based on that alone. It's just not fair. A Rolex has an unfair advantage against anybody else. But if you want to talk about functions, technical terms, the Manta does have more advanced features than a Rolex would.
Absolutely.
But we're looking at it from two different perspectives on our winners. But again, guys, thank you for hanging in there
That's fun.
for this hour
Yeah, it's a long time.
and 3 different cameras. And going through our 2 different boards, we appreciate this.
It's
I
kinda
want to
cool.
thank Jared for joining me tonight. It
Listen,
was a
thank you.
fun
Thank you for
episode
having
to
me.
do. I
was
think
enjoyable.
everybody was very fair. I think they were very objective.
Yeah.
And I think we got into good detail about what are the best dive watches out there. And
Absolutely.
I look forward to showing you the Breitling Navitimer on the next episode of Watch Out. So stay with me, please. Like, subscribe, do everything else, and create your own bracket. I'm going to post the bracket up.
Oh, that's
on,
the judging episode, right? The court case?
Yes, we're going to do it more of traditional of pros and cons of the Navitimer, but we are going to. I'm going to let you know if I.
I'm going to
decide
make a
keep
prediction.
or get rid of it.
I'm going to make a prediction, if I may.
Sure.
He's going to hold on to it. That's my
That's his
prediction.
prediction. We're going to find out what the result is in your next episode in May. So stay tuned for that. And please, guys, I'm going to leave the bracket for you at the end of this episode as well. Please fill out your bracket. Send me who won in your view and why they won.
I'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear everybody's opinions. These are just our opinions. Everybody's subjective, as we've said much
We were
earlier.
pretty
So-
much neck and neck.
We were. We
for-
had
for
the
most
same
part,
Final
which is
Four,
fun.
which was
Which is
really
fun.
wild how
Yeah.
that worked out. So we had a great time, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Watch Out.